In a courtroom drama that has captivated the public, Sean "Diddy" Combs stands trial for charges that could redefine his storied career. Amid allegations of sex trafficking, racketeering, and more, the case hinges on a pivotal piece of evidence, a hotel security video from 2016. As the jury witnesses the unraveling of a high-stakes narrative, the courtroom becomes a battleground of conflicting testimonies and hidden motives. The trial not only focuses on the dark allegations against Combs, but also exposes the intricacies of power, influence, and the lengths one might go to protect a public image. With a star witness in Cassie Ventura and the revelation of a $100,000 payment intended to bury incriminating evidence, the proceedings offer a glimpse into the complexities of celebrity life shadowed by controversy. As the story unfolds, every new testimony adds another layer to this gripping legal saga. The trial of Sean "Diddy" Combs, the renowned music mogul, has shocked the public with its revelations of a scandalous nature. At the center of this legal storm is a hotel security video from 2016, captured at the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles, which allegedly shows Combs in a violent altercation with his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. Ventura, a key witness for the prosecution, recounted a harrowing escape from what she described as Combs' drug-fueled orgies, or freak-offs. Her testimony paints a vivid picture of a nightmarish encounter where she was kicked and dragged by Combs as she attempted to flee. As Cassie Ventura bravely took the stand, her account became the cornerstone of the prosecution's case. She described how she gathered her belongings and made a desperate attempt to leave, only to be intercepted by Combs in the hallway. Her narrative of being thrown to the ground and forcibly dragged back to the room adds a visceral dimension to the allegations against Combs. This testimony not only serves as a critical piece of evidence, but also highlights the significant power dynamics and control exerted in such situations. The courtroom became a theater of raw emotion and chilling recounts, with Ventura's words resonating deeply with those present. The hotel security guard, Eddie Garcia, played a pivotal role in bringing this scandal to light. His testimony revealed that Combs offered him a substantial sum of $100,000 to suppress the incriminating video footage. Garcia's account further corroborates Ventura's testimony, providing the prosecution with vital evidence of Combs' attempts to cover up his actions. As Garcia recounted the events, he described Combs' frantic efforts to ensure the video remained unseen, expressing his concern that its release could irrevocably damage his career. This act of desperation and the subsequent payment to Garcia have become crucial elements in the prosecution's argument, framing them as part of a broader pattern of racketeering and coercion. The courtroom revelations paint a complex picture of a man desperately protecting his empire from implosion. Combs' defense team, however, has taken a different stance, acknowledging the domestic violence but staunchly denying the more severe allegations of sex trafficking and racketeering. They argue that the payment was merely an attempt to manage a personal crisis rather than an admission of guilt for more serious crimes. This dichotomy sets the stage for a dramatic legal battle, where the stakes are nothing less than the freedom and reputation of one of the music industry's most influential figures. As the trial progresses, the courtroom awaits the testimonies of more witnesses, each with their own story to tell. What further revelations will unfold as the case continues to develop? The allegations against Sean "Diddy" Combs extend far beyond a single altercation, creating a complex web that intertwines personal relationships, professional dealings, and an empire built on music and influence. At the heart of these accusations lies a pattern of behavior that prosecutors claim underscores a broader criminal enterprise. The charges of sex trafficking and racketeering paint a picture of a mogul allegedly using his vast resources to manipulate and control those around him, shielding his public persona while engaging in illicit activities behind closed doors. Central to this narrative is the testimony of Eddie Garcia, the hotel security guard who found himself unexpectedly embroiled in this high-profile case. Garcia's account of the night in question offers a glimpse into the desperate measures Combs allegedly took to protect his reputation. The $100,000 payment he received was not just a transaction. It was, according to prosecutors, a piece of a larger puzzle demonstrating Combs' attempts to silence those who could expose him. Garcia described Combs as nervous and eager to secure the footage, indicating the mogul's acute awareness of the potential fallout from the video's release. This effort to conceal embarrassing and potentially incriminating evidence ties into the broader accusations of racketeering, a charge that suggests a systematic approach to maintaining power and control through intimidation and deceit. Prosecutors argue that the incident with Garcia is emblematic of a pattern, using wealth and influence to suppress dissent and keep damaging information under wraps. This strategy, they claim, enabled Combs to continue his alleged misconduct without facing immediate consequences. As the trial unfolds, the prosecution aims to build a narrative of calculated manipulation, drawing connections between isolated incidents and a larger scheme. They argue that Combs exploited his position to orchestrate a network of enablers who facilitated his alleged activities, whether through financial incentives or coercion. The courtroom drama intensifies as more witnesses prepare to testify, potentially corroborating the prosecution's theory of a sprawling enterprise masked by the glitz and glamour of the music world. But the story doesn't end here. As the prosecution lays out its case, the defense is poised to counter with its own narrative, challenging the allegations and seeking to dismantle the prosecution's intricate web of claims. What strategies will they employ to defend Combs, and how will the jury respond to the mounting evidence? The next phase of the trial promises to delve deeper into the mechanics of Combs' empire, exposing the inner workings of a world few outsiders truly understand. As the prosecution works to paint a vivid picture of Sean "Diddy" Combs as a mogul entangled in a web of criminal activities, the defense is equally determined to unravel this narrative. Combs' legal team has approached this high-stakes trial with a strategy aimed at dismantling the prosecution's case, piece by piece. They acknowledge the domestic violence incident captured in the now infamous video, but firmly deny the broader allegations of sex trafficking and racketeering. Their argument hinges on differentiating between personal failings and systemic criminal behavior, a distinction they argue the prosecution has blurred. The defense's strategy involves questioning the credibility of key witnesses and the interpretation of the evidence presented. They argue that the $100,000 payment to Eddie Garcia was not a bribe, but rather a personal effort by Combs to manage a crisis and preserve his public image. The defense asserts that Combs' actions, though regrettable, do not constitute racketeering or sex trafficking. By focusing on the intent behind the payment, the defense seeks to portray Combs as a man caught in a moment of personal turmoil rather than an orchestrator of a criminal enterprise. Moreover, the defense team is set to challenge the narrative of coercion and manipulation presented by the prosecution. They aim to present evidence and witness testimonies that suggest Combs' interactions with those in his circle were consensual and that the allegations of an organized scheme are exaggerated. The cross-examination of prosecution witnesses is a critical component of this strategy, as the defense seeks to uncover inconsistencies and biases that could undermine the prosecution's case. The defense's approach also involves casting doubt on the motivations of those who have come forward with allegations against Combs. By questioning the timing and circumstances of these allegations, the defense aims to suggest that some accusers may have ulterior motives, such as financial gain or personal vendettas. This line of questioning is designed to sow doubt in the minds of the jury, complicating the prosecution's narrative of a systematic abuse of power. As the trial progresses, the courtroom drama continues to unfold with each side, presenting its version of events. The defense's efforts to counter the prosecution's claims set the stage for a complex legal battle where the stakes are extraordinarily high. Will the defense's arguments be enough to sway the jury and protect Combs from the severe charges against him? The next phase of the trial promises to delve deeper into the defense's tactics and their impact on the unfolding courtroom saga. In the midst of this legal saga, the role of key witnesses cannot be overstated. Each testimony adds a new layer of complexity to the trial, offering insights that could sway the jury's perception. At the heart of this is Cassie Ventura, who not only serves as a central figure in the allegations, but also as the government's star witness. Her powerful narrative of the events at the Intercontinental Hotel has captivated the courtroom, painting a vivid picture of the night in question. Ventura's account of fleeing a chaotic scene, only to be forcibly dragged back, forms a cornerstone of the prosecution's case against Combs. Ventura's testimony is not merely an accusation. It is a window into the alleged power dynamics and abusive control that prosecutors argue were systemic in Combs' dealings. Her courage in coming forward and recounting her experiences adds a human element to the proceedings, one that resonates deeply with jurors and observers alike. Ventura's narrative is pivotal in establishing the emotional and psychological impact of the alleged crimes, serving as an emotional anchor for the prosecution's narrative. Complementing Ventura's testimony is that of Eddie Garcia, the hotel security guard who stands as a critical witness in the trial. Garcia's testimony provides a procedural account of the night, detailing Combs' frantic attempts to suppress the incriminating video footage. His description of Combs' nervous demeanor and the subsequent $100,000 payment offers a compelling glimpse into the mogul's alleged efforts to protect his reputation at all costs. Garcia's role as an intermediary between the hotel and Combs highlights the lengths to which the defense claims Combs would go to maintain control over potentially damaging material. As the trial continues, the prosecution is set to introduce more witnesses, each poised to shed further light on the complex web of allegations. Among them are individuals who have accused Combs of various forms of misconduct over the years, including Brianna Bongolan, who alleges a violent encounter involving Combs and Ventura. These testimonies are expected to bolster the prosecution's argument of a pattern of behavior, potentially influencing the jury's understanding of Combs' actions as part of a broader pattern of criminal conduct. But the defense is ready to challenge these narratives, aiming to dismantle the credibility of witnesses and the consistency of their testimonies. How will the courtroom drama unfold as these witnesses take the stand, and what impact will their stories have on the trial's outcome? The next testimonies may hold the key to understanding the true scope of the allegations against Combs, setting the stage for the trial's next phase. The trial of Sean Diddy Combs takes a deeper dive into the financial intricacies of his empire, revealing a complex web of transactions and alleged misconduct. Central to the prosecution's case is the argument that Combs' business operations were not merely a facade of success, but a sophisticated front for illicit activities. This narrative is bolstered by the testimony of Derek Ferguson, Combs' longtime chief financial officer, who outlined the financial practices within Combs' business ventures, including Bad Boy Entertainment. Ferguson's testimony reveals a glimpse into the financial mechanisms that prosecutors argue were used to facilitate and conceal alleged criminal activities. He detailed the management of cash flow, employee reimbursements, and the use of corporate funds for personal expenses. The prosecution presents this financial structure as evidence of a criminal enterprise designed to support Combs' alleged misconduct, including the procurement of supplies for notorious freak-offs. This testimony aims to establish a pattern of financial manipulation, suggesting that Combs used his business acumen not just for commercial success, but as a tool for coercion and control. Adding to the complexity of financial entanglements is the introduction of a paper trail from 2011, which brings to light a series of transactions involving Cassie Ventura's family. The documentation of a $20,000 wire transfer to Ventura's mother and its subsequent return is presented as evidence of Combs' attempts to exert control over Ventura. Regina Ventura's testimony that she feared for her daughter's safety adds a chilling dimension to these financial dealings. The prosecution argues that this transaction was part of a broader strategy to maintain power over individuals within Combs' orbit, using financial leverage as a means of intimidation. Through these financial revelations, the prosecution seeks to paint a picture of a mogul who allegedly used his wealth and influence to orchestrate a network of enablers and victims. This portrayal is designed to challenge the public perception of Combs, suggesting that behind his successful business empire lies a pattern of exploitation and abuse. The financial evidence serves as a backdrop to the testimonies, reinforcing the narrative of a systematic approach to misconduct. As the trial progresses, the defense remains poised to counter these allegations, questioning the interpretation and significance of the financial evidence. They argue that Combs' financial dealings were above board and that any transactions involving Ventura's family were misunderstood or misrepresented. The defense's strategy will likely focus on dismantling the prosecution's portrayal of a criminal enterprise, emphasizing legitimate business practices and challenging the motivations behind the financial accusations. What will the defense bring to the forefront in response to these financial allegations, and how will this impact the jury's perception? As the trial delves further into the financial underpinnings of Combs' empire, the courtroom drama continues to unfold, setting the stage for more revelations and a deeper understanding of the case's complexities. As the trial progresses, attention turns to the less visible but equally significant figures surrounding Sean "Diddy" Combs. These individuals include those working behind the scenes within his business empire, whose roles could provide further insight into the operations and culture fostered by Combs. While the spotlight has largely been on the high-profile testimonies from Cassie Ventura and Eddie Garcia, the undercurrents of this case lie in the testimonies yet to be heard, from those who may have been complicit or victimized without the public's knowledge. One such figure is Christina Coram, Combs' assistant, whose involvement was highlighted during Garcia's testimony. Coram's actions, requesting access to the hotel footage and facilitating communication between Garcia and Combs, suggest a deeper involvement in managing Combs' crises. Her role could potentially illuminate the extent to which employees were aware of or involved in efforts to protect Combs' reputation, raising questions about the culture within his inner circle. The prosecution might argue that Coram's actions exemplify the organized nature of Combs' attempts to suppress damaging evidence. Additionally, the trial has hinted at other employees who may have played roles in supporting Combs' alleged activities. Personal assistants tasked with procuring supplies for the so-called freak-offs could provide valuable testimony about the environment within Combs' operations. Their experiences and observations might reveal the pressures and expectations placed upon those working close to the music mogul, potentially supporting the prosecution's claims of a systematic approach to misconduct. Moreover, the prosecution's strategy likely involves weaving these peripheral narratives into a cohesive argument that depicts a network of enablers within Combs' business empire. By demonstrating how various individuals contributed to a culture of silence and compliance, they aim to bolster the charges of racketeering and conspiracy. This approach seeks to challenge the defense's portrayal of isolated incidents, instead presenting a tapestry of interconnected actions that paint a broader picture of alleged criminal conduct. As the trial progresses, the impact of these lesser-known figures becomes increasingly significant. The defense, aware of the potential damage their testimonies could cause, is expected to scrutinize their credibility and motivations. By doing so, they hope to diffuse the prosecution's narrative of a coordinated enterprise, instead framing the allegations as misunderstandings or exaggerations by individuals seeking personal gain. The courtroom awaits the unfolding of these narratives, with each testimony promising to add depth to the complex story of Sean "Diddy" Combs and his empire. As these hidden figures step into the light, will they corroborate the prosecution's claims, or will their stories align with the defense's narrative of a misunderstood mogul? The answers to these questions could shape the outcome of this high-stakes trial, as the unseen faces begin to emerge from the shadows. As the case against Sean "Diddy" Combs unfolds, the prosecution's strategy becomes increasingly transparent, revealing a carefully constructed narrative intended to expose the alleged dark underbelly of Combs' empire. At the heart of their case is the assertion that Combs' business ventures served as a front for more nefarious activities, particularly those involving coercion and manipulation. By meticulously weaving together testimonies, financial records, and video evidence, they aim to present a compelling argument that Combs orchestrated a network of intimidation and control. One of the prosecution's primary strategies involves leveraging the emotional impact of the testimonies provided by Cassie Ventura and Eddie Garcia. Ventura's harrowing account of her experiences with Combs adds a deeply personal dimension to the allegations, humanizing the charges and fostering empathy among the jury. Her testimony is crucial in portraying Combs not as a distant mogul, but as someone directly involved in the alleged misconduct. Ventura's narrative, combined with the damning video evidence, serves to anchor the prosecution's case, providing a visceral connection to the allegations of abuse and control. Eddie Garcia's testimony further solidifies the prosecution's narrative by offering a first-hand account of Combs' purported attempts to suppress incriminating evidence. Garcia's detailed recollection of the $100,000 payment transaction and Combs' demeanor during their interactions paints a picture of a man desperate to protect his reputation. The prosecution argues that this transaction is emblematic of a broader pattern of behavior, a strategy of bribery and intimidation, designed to maintain a facade of success while concealing a legacy of alleged misconduct. The introduction of financial evidence, including the alleged extortion payments linked to Ventura's family, serves to bolster the prosecution's claims of a calculated criminal enterprise. By highlighting these transactions, the prosecution aims to demonstrate how Combs allegedly used financial leverage as a means of control, further supporting their argument of a systematic approach to criminal activity. This financial evidence is strategically presented to reinforce the narrative of an empire built not just on musical talent, but also on manipulation and coercion. As the prosecution continues to lay out its case, the challenge lies in maintaining a cohesive narrative that can withstand the defense's counterarguments. Their strategy involves presenting a complex tapestry of evidence that portrays Combs as the orchestrator of a sophisticated criminal enterprise. But the defense is prepared to dismantle this narrative, questioning the credibility of witnesses and the interpretation of evidence. How the jury perceives these strategies will be crucial in determining the trial's outcome. The courtroom drama intensifies as the prosecution's strategy unfolds, with each piece of evidence meticulously presented to build a compelling case against Combs. But with the defense ready to counter these claims, the trial remains a dynamic and unpredictable legal battle. What tactics will the defense employ next, and how will this influence the jury's perspective? As the trial progresses, the stakes continue to rise, setting the stage for a high-stakes confrontation in the courtroom. As the trial of Sean "Diddy" Combs reaches a crescendo, the courtroom has become a stage for a gripping drama centered around allegations of sex trafficking, racketeering, and a high-profile attempt to suppress damaging evidence. With the prosecution painting a picture of a mogul embroiled in a sophisticated criminal enterprise and the defense steadfastly countering these claims, the narrative has been one of intense legal maneuvering and emotional testimonies. Key figures like Cassie Ventura and Eddie Garcia have provided pivotal accounts that delve into the complexities of power and control within Combs' empire, adding layers to the already intricate web of allegations. Throughout the proceedings, the trial has exposed the dichotomy between Combs' public persona and the accusations of a darker reality behind the scenes. The courtroom has witnessed a clash of narratives, with the prosecution's detailed strategy challenging the defense's portrayal of isolated incidents. As the jury deliberates, the implications of this case extend beyond the verdict, potentially reshaping perceptions of celebrity influence and accountability. The conclusion of this legal saga may leave lingering questions about the intersection of power, privilege, and justice, encouraging viewers to reflect on the broader ramifications of the trial.